Every now and then, people ask me this. I'm blank, I'm from blank, I stutter since blank and something about the stuttering, and then help me please. So I decided to make a comprehensive video providing such help, and I want to cover in this video only 3 practical things. The first one is the very core of the stuttering iceberg, what it is and how do we deal with it. Second, speaking exercises and techniques. And third, our speaking pattern, why speaking exercises and techniques are not enough, and what do we need to do to really bring change to our speaking pattern. So let's talk about it. When I was in my speech therapy back in the day, we had the exercise, one of the exercises, which was the following. You approach a stranger or strangers and you ask a couple questions using your training speech, using the hand technique in that case, asking them a couple questions about stuttering, saying, I'm going through speech therapy, I'm using the training speech and the hand technique. Can I ask you a couple questions? Yes. And you ask like, what is stuttering? Do you know? What's the cause of it? And do you know anyone who stutters, or maybe famous people who stutter? I wonder what you think about such an exercise. Would you do such an exercise, such an assignment? How do you feel about doing it? And I can tell you that nowadays, when I help other people who stutter inside the Free From Stutter program, inside the Free From Stutter course, we have this exercise, and I decided to encourage, inspire the participants of the course, of the program, and do it myself. So I went outside and did it myself, and I found it as hard as it was back in the day. And I mean hard, not in terms of speaking, because when you're using the training speech, well, you don't stutter. The problem is to disclose the fact that you stutter, that you're going on through speech therapy, that you're using some weird training speech. So all this is uneasy, at least. So this is a very powerful exercise, and the point why I'm telling the story is that the core of the stuttering iceberg, our stuttering fear, avoidance behaviors, desire to hide it, they all rest on something very, very deep, and that is the underlying shame. Shame and guilt and embarrassment, call it whatever, but that's the negative feeling we have associated with stuttering. So the first thing is not the speech impediments. Speech impediments, you see, when we target the speech impediments, it's great, but it's like cutting the leaves of the tree. The tree, the trunk, the body, the roots, they all stay the same. So we want to target the very core of the stuttering iceberg, which is, again, avoidance, desire to hide it, stuttering fear, and anxiety associated with that, and it all rests on our underlying stuttering shame. Now, what do we do with the stuttering shame? With this negative feeling, with this negativity about our stuttering. And I'm not gonna say that stuttering is cool or be positive about it. It really doesn't matter whether it's cool or not. The only thing which really matters is that stuttering should not stop you and hold you back in your life. And I want to give you 3 practical tips how to boost your self-esteem, because stuttering shame, it goes hand in hand with self-esteem, with lower self-esteem. We start comparing ourselves with others, and we start feeling negative, we start feeling that underlying shame. We want to bring our focus from that shame to our self-esteem, two different criteria that I want to give you. So the 3 tips how to up-level, how to boost our self-esteem. The first one, when you speak to a person, to the audience, whatever, let's try to focus on the emotional connection. And the best way to focus on that connection is just to wish that person or the audience good. In other words, it's the very, very core of you as a person. You want to wish good to other people. And you want to translate that, transform that into your message, into your eye contact. You really want to feel that. That's the number one best way to boost your self-esteem, because if you're deep inside, deep down, feel positive about the other person, people catch that, people feel that, people sense that. The second thing how we can boost our self-esteem is try to focus on your passion, what you really like doing. What is your craft? What is your skill? So doing something well brings a lot of self-confidence, boosts self-esteem. That's something that really elevates us above that stuttering shame. If you go thinking, yeah, but I don't have a passion, I don't have a skill that I want to develop, I really don't know what I want to do with my life. Well, that's a separate topic, but a good advice is to wake up at 5 a.m. and you have this free time before your school starts, before your work starts, before the day starts. It's a great exercise to really see where your true self is taking you, is leading you. So you will have to do something, and you will do something that you really love. This way you can feel the indication of your true passion or passions. Tip number 3, face your fears. So oftentimes it's a very complicated feeling. You feel satisfaction of the fact that you faced your fear and you did it. You might feel the negativity, of course, because of your stuttering. And these two feelings, the positive of facing your fear, the negative of bringing it up and maybe feeling that embarrassment because you were not able to say it the way you wanted to say it. So this is a complex feeling, but I want you to focus on actually doing what you wanted to do, reaching the goal, reaching the result that you were after. So I'm always telling myself, yes, I did it awkwardly, maybe someone was laughing, maybe someone made fun of me, but I did what I wanted to do. I did what I felt was right to do. So this way you build a different scale, different scale of values, scale of how you assess that experience, how you feel about that experience. You redefine the rules of the game, introducing different rules. So we bring focus from the shame to the things that elevate our self-esteem, self-confidence, because again, the core of the stuttering iceberg is avoidance. It's not only the physical avoidance of certain words, sounds, speaking interaction. It's a broader avoidance, right? So we don't want stuttering, that avoidance dominate. We don't want stuttering be there. This way we interfere into the land of stuttering, conquer it, overcome it this way.
So as an example, let's just take a couple people. Nick Vujicic. No arms, no legs.
Hello! Thank you! Thank you very much. Hello! So what do you do when you fall down? Get back up. Everybody knows to get back up, because if I start walking, not going to get anywhere. But I tell you, there are some times in life where you fall down and you feel like you don't have the strength to get back up. You sort of put a mask on your face when you come to school and pretend that everything's okay when it's not, and you go home and lay in your bed when no one's looking at you, when you don't have to impress anybody, and you're yourself. And fear comes in. But this is the thing. It should be impossible for me to get back up, but it's not. You see, I will try 100 times to get up, and if I fail 100 times, if I fail and I give up, do you think that I'm ever going to get up? No. But if I fail, I try again, and again, and again. For as long as I try, there's always that chance of getting up. Does that make sense? And it's not the end until you've given up.
Here's Alvin Law, without arms, but with passion for music.
The girls didn't want to date me because they couldn't quite grasp holding on to this. That's what makes my wife Darlene that much more special. She doesn't see the outside. She sees the human. And there is a difference. My life in music is what changed it all. Music taught me that life does not change in one day, in 1 week, in 1 year. It takes steps after step after step after step after step. Why did I just do that? To show off? Yeah. To impress you? Yeah. I want to impress you. Because of my ego? No. No. See, that was the most important thing that I learned in my professional life. In my opinion, and it is my opinion, you earn joy. It is not a human right. You attain success. I got a label. It's fixed right on my forehead. And it used to bug me until it occurred to me, I just have to change what the label says.
Drew Lynch, finding passion for comedy.
Almost 4 years ago, I was on a softball team. There was a grounder that took a bad hop and hit me in my throat, which damaged some nerves in my vocal cords. Excuse me. I felt angry about it at first. I started to write down all my frustrations on a napkin in the hospital. My girlfriend encouraged me to try just talking about those things on stage, and I started to do comedy as a way of coping with it. The person I was before would probably never hang out with who I am today. I thought people were lucky if they got to talk to me. And that was a jerk. I feel a lot of responsibility to show people that you can turn anything into a positive.
All right, here's what I thought. I know you're here to make people laugh, but I can't tell you how emotional you make me. Because comedy usually comes from a dark place. A lot of comedians, are depressed. I personally in my life have used laughter to try to gain some happiness. What you did is you looked for the light at the end of the darkness, and that light is your comedy. And I'm telling you, I haven't been moved by an act like this up until this moment. And because of you, and because of this moment, I want to do something very special. Something I haven't had a chance to do, and I'd like to do this.
And I can come up with more examples and more examples. The point is very simple. You can and you should, and that's the first thing you can do about your stuttering is to start living now. And again, I'm a big fan of speaking exercise, training speech, eliminating speech impediments. But believe me, all that is, again, cutting the leaves. We want to get to the very core. Without working on your self-esteem, without working with your stuttering, shame, underlying shame, without working with avoidance behaviors, without working with desire to hide it and be normal, all the speaking exercise and techniques just don't work, because speaking is interaction with the speaking environment, with the person, with the audience, with somebody. It's always an interaction. And in this interaction, the central piece is that self-esteem or stuttering shame, avoidance behaviors, desire to hide it, stuttering fear, or your dedication to do it no matter what, if you feel it's right to do.
So your attitude is your main asset, not your arms and legs, not the looks, not your voice, but what you do with your voice.
Now let's talk about speaking exercises and speaking techniques for stuttering. And first let's take prolongation as probably the most common technique that we use. You can say, I can see you. Prolongation, right? You can say, I can see you. It's also prolongation, but it's a different one. So in the first example, we did that prolongation monotonously, robotically. In the second one, we did the prolongation, we used the prolongation, but in a more natural way. We just put more substance, more power to the stressed syllables that we decided to be stressed. I can see you. So I decided that I and see are stressed for me. So I put there just a bit more power, making it longer. So I used the prolongation, but it sounded pretty natural. So that's what I call restoring the inner structure of our speaking, because the regular speaking is very flat and choppy. So we do want to put something more there to take control over the airflow. When I say I, and that I can see you, I already create that airflow for the whole phrase. I take control over the phrase. I can see you. And see, I reinforce that control, reconfirm. And also prolongation can be kind of flat, like I can see you. So it doesn't sound natural as well, like the mere prolongation. We want to make it I can see you. So it kind of opens up, the sound opens up and then goes back. It's not a mere prolongation. It's prolongation where we put more substance. You also probably know that when people sing, they also usually don't stutter, because this way we prolong our sounds that we're saying, putting their substance. And singing is a great exercise to develop our speaking mechanism, to develop the voice, to develop the ability to say something in one breathing out. Because what usually happens is, for example, I want to say, give me a bottle of water, please. So we say, give me, and we interrupt the airflow. A bottle is a separate thing. Give me, so we said fluently, give me. But we interrupt the airflow. We don't have the airflow anymore. Give me. So a bottle creates struggle, creates a challenge. So what we would like to do, want to say, give me a bottle of water, please. Give me. Want to grab control over the airflow. Give me a bottle of water, please. Give me a bottle. So it's a good exercise to feel that connection. Give me a bottle. So instead of interrupting, give me, I suggest to play as an exercise, imagine it's an airplane going up. Give me a bottle. Then we reduce it, but we want to feel that connection. Give me a bottle. This way we go from give, where we launch the phrase, we grab control over the airflow, give, You can play with it as well, making a bit longer. Give. You can do this balloon exercise that I love, going from tension to relaxation. Give me a bottle. But the main thing, we want to grab control in the first give, and then go in one breathing out. It's one airflow. Give me a bottle of water, please. We don't want to interrupt. Give me. And by the way, prolongation, if you notice, regular, normal people use prolongation even though they don't have stuttering, right? We could say, give me a bottle of water, please. Like thinking, you're thinking Coke, Pepsi, or water. So say, give me a bottle of water, please. So it's also a great exercise to stay on that sound, stay in the same airflow until you decide what you want to say. Give me a bottle of water, please. A great thing to do is to play with the eye contact as well. You say, give me a bottle of water, please. So I want to make sure that we start with the eye contact and we finish when you're saying the main thing. You also look at the person. You say, give me a bottle of water, please. And I'm the big fan of using the hand stuttering technique, where we use hand to synchronize all these speaking processes, the relaxation, putting power, being more expressive. So the hand takes the role of the orchestra conductor, leading our speaking and giving support, very, very physical support to our speaking. The third thing we want to talk about is your speaking pattern, because only the exercises, only the techniques, they're not enough. They don't work. What we want to feel is that we use the training speech most of the time, and that it blends together with your natural way of speaking. It organically matches your natural way of speaking. Otherwise, you won't use it. And if you don't use it, if you're thinking, I'll have this trick, I'll have this technique for the moment when I feel the anxiety, when I feel tension for my presentation, for my introduction, for that situation, it won't work for sure. You can practice an hour or two at home, and then that moment happens and you say it the way you say it all the time, you stutter, you get stuck. So the only way to bring real change to your speaking pattern is to use your training speech most of the time, which takes us right back to the first point, your self-esteem, because training speech is putting a bit more to your speaking, which means being a bit different from the way you speak right now. So we're coming back to that first exercise that we talked about in the very beginning of this video, and I want you to think about it. This is the criterion, like an assignment, an exercise to really see, are you ready to change your speaking pattern, to really overcome stuttering or not? And I'm not saying that we should do it like in one go. Like with every change, we want to go step by step. We want to get there, but let's face the truth. Without getting to the very, very, very core of the stuttering iceberg, without getting to avoidance behaviors, desire to hide it, stuttering fear, resting on the stuttering shame, there is no way to change, to bring real change to our speaking pattern. There is no way to overcome stuttering. And the opposite is also true. If you're ready to build your training speech, to use your training speech, this way you create a new muscle memory, new emotional memory, because our speaking pattern all comes down to that automated memory. So if you're ready to use the training speech most of the time, if you're ready to upload positive muscle and emotional memory. Then it brings real change to your speaking pattern, and it brings real change to how you feel about your speaking. So these are the three big, I think, practical tips about the stuttering help, what we can do about stuttering. First, concentrate on the core of the stuttering iceberg, your self-esteem instead of stuttering shame. Second, we do want to work with our speaking mechanism, with the exercises, with the techniques, finding what works for you. Again, I'm a big fan of just restoring the inner structure of our speaking using the hand technique, the hand stuttering technique, and the training speech. And the third, we do want to be consistent with our training speech. It's not only one shot, boom, and I got through it fluently. We do want to bring that training speech to our everyday speaking. This way we create new muscle and emotional memory, and we do bring real change to our speaking pattern, how we feel about speaking. So these are the tips. I'll give you the links to the exercise techniques, to inspirational, encouraging stories. For more videos, subscribe to this YouTube channel. For more exercises and how to use the training speech, the hand technique, go to freefromstutter.com, join my free improve program. And for more interaction, join Free From Stutter Facebook group. And I'll see you in the next video.